And we're live here with the fifth quarter show in the middle of week 13 and season 83. It's been a while, folks. Cincy and myself have just had some crazy life stuff outside of the league, and our schedules really haven't matched up. So we apologize it hasn't been a show, even though we were planning on trying to get a few more shows in this year. Cincy's newborn is going to be coming here anytime, so he's had a few things he's had to take care of, and with my work schedule and everything daughter-wise, it's just been a crazy week, crazy month actually. So apologize, but we're getting one in here for you today. And first topic I think we should talk about is our following up the Press Pass Live that just took place last night. First thing I want to throw out there is I appreciate Nate taking the time to throw that out there. Being an open book with the league. Expressing where he's at, how he feels. I know that's not probably the easiest thing to do, and not probably the easiest thing for him to also, remain confident and pushing forward to try and complete this Madden season for us. But I know that this league's been around for a while, and like Maniac said, we just got to pull together as a family. And I think the board, even without Dawson, we will miss him, but I think the board will find a way to, pull together and get us through, and we'll see where we go. But I'm looking forward to playing this league. I've been in about 6 leagues this year, and the only league that I can really say I will stand by and stay in and be active with and committed to is the OMFL. And it's just speaks volume to Nate and his crew running the thing and how they put it together and what the OMFL is. So hopefully we can figure this out and continue to play. And even with the game being maybe broken, we just got to, be men and try and make things the best as possible we can. What do you got to say about that? Anything, Cincy?
Oh, yeah. Like you said, trying out secondary leagues just to keep you busy. I've also done the same thing. And I found that, the biggest thing is, as Nate and the guys, compared to other leagues, they don't make too many rational decisions or on-the-spot decisions. They collaborate together to make things work out. And, whatever's best for the league overall, not best for, a few guys. I just think we're still going in the right direction, even though, we had some hiccups. I think everything will work out in the end.
I agree. Like you said, I think the biggest thing is the rational decision. I don't think it's, something happens, it's not going to jump and then regret it later. I respect Nate and his boys running this, Dwayne and Maniac, and the time that they put in. You can't find that elsewhere. So that doesn't go unnoticed for you guys, and it's appreciated from my end. I know for many other people in this league could, I strongly feel like I'm speaking for them. So, the first thing that we are going to touch into is one of our favorites and one of our strong points of our show is Cincy Iceberg's power rankings. It's been a while, folks. We're going to throw it out there, and we're going to just start right off the bat. Cincy, go ahead and give us your good old power rankings and see what we got here.
All right, yes, the old power rankings. So they're a little different than what you see on the game and on Daddy Leagues. We appreciate Daddy Leagues for all the templates they put out, but they're going to just be a little different. So we'll start with we'll go 3 at a time here. We're actually going to start, we'll start at top 10, at the 10th. Usually I do, but I was thinking about starting at number 1, but we'll do the boring one last. So we'll go 10, 9, 8. So rounding out number 10, we'll do the Jags, which is actually the 3rd AFC South team I have in this top 10. It's a very strong division over there. Um, he's on a 4-game win streak. He's got a big game coming up versus the Jets in a couple of weeks to pretty much define his season, in my opinion. Then we got the Chiefs at number 9. They've been on a roll as of late, one of the hottest teams in the league. Then at number 8, we got the Bengals, myself. Just staying steady. Trying to be under the radar as much as I can, but it's not really working out. Somehow I always get talked about. All right, and then number 7, we got the Cowboys. He could be a little higher on this, but he has missed a little bit of time, so I won't fully put that against him, but he is down at number 7. Then we got the Jets. Might surprise a couple people at number 6. Arguably one of the best teams in the league, one of the hottest in the AFC. He's got a couple big games that I didn't like on his schedule when he played the Saints and Falcons. He didn't look too good, and that just worried me, about always being in every game just to be at the top of the list and the standings. I feel like if you want to be at the top, you should be in every game. Then at number 5, we got the Cardinals. Like I said, the Chiefs were on a roll. Well, this guy's on a roll. He's won 8 in a row. Just knocking down his Mo brother the other week. Taking him down, making him one game closer to winning the West out there. Number 4, surprisingly, the lowest or the worst he's been in the standings, I think, since I've had it, is the Colts. He's got 4 losses, but all of them have been within a score of, just winning the game or tying the game. So he's always in every game. It's hard to beat that guy by more than one score. He's just got that kind of, gameplay and I guess you could say Madden smarts or football smarts, just a high IQ in the game. Number 3, we got Seattle. He's lost a couple games. Just lost to the surging Cardinals. But I think he's going to set up nice and finish out the season with only 2 losses, in my opinion. At number 2, we got the main host of the show, BigHurt, the Tennessee Titans. He came in, he switched from he was tired of playing double mows. No, I'm just kidding. He got a fresh start with Tennessee. He took over on mid-season roughly. I think it was about week 9 or 10. He's only had 1 loss since taking over, and he's beaten the Colts, who's been, the best team in the OMFL this year, twice actually. So, he's got some blood already with Dwayne. And then at number 1, we got Atlanta. He's undefeated. He's showing why he won the Super Bowl last year. He's dominating on both sides of the ball. And that is the top 10.
Yeah, it's an interesting top 10. Just seeing how things are shaking up, and we got a long 4 weeks left to go that could shake that up even more. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes up as we go forward. But by no means, I don't think the bottom half of that top 10 could easily be one of those teams in the last standing on NFC or the AFC, whichever division it's from. It's a strong top 10 for sure. So our next topic that we're going to jump into is buy now or sell now. We do this a lot. We're going to do one here. We got a couple teams, 3 teams actually, on both the NFC and the AFC that we're going to throw out there. And first, we're going to start in the AFC. And I'm going to ask Cincy first. And the first team we're going to do is the Steelers. You just got done playing the Steelers. Are you buying them or are you selling them?
Right now, I'm going to sell him. But he's on the right path, He's definitely come close to. He should have had me the first game, but there was a disconnect. Second game, he was real close. I got him in the end with the field goal. But he's been winning games. He leads the league in passing. He's definitely shown he's more connected with the gameplay. Like I know he's I believe he's an RA in a dorm, so he gets a little busy during the beginning of the Madden, and he usually surges in late. But I think his biggest need is he needs to find a B game plan because he always goes after his A game plan, and when that's not working, he still goes to his A game plan, and that's where I think he falls.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to sell the Steelers right now. Even before the game they played against you, I thought that would maybe, give him a little bit of a chance to prove himself or be a little bit more towards the buy-in. But it was a sell before, and it's a sell now. The reason why he's on a 3-game skid, lost the last 3 games. He is impressive with the passing. Rookie quarterback throwing on 3,300 yards right now with a 65% completion percentage. Throwing 107 QB rating out there for so far through the year. The stats are there in the passing game, like you said, but the rushing game is lacking a little bit. So he's one-dimensional for the most part. And defensively, I don't know quite where he sits. I know he's got you with the Bengals and Chaotix is depends on what Chaotix team shows up. I just think it's a tough division for him, and I'm not quite sure that he has what it takes to get over the hump and really make a. I'm looking at the team stats right now. He's 3rd worst in total yards allowed. So yeah, it's scoring points, throwing the ball a lot, but giving up a lot of yards, and that's just a strugglesome recipe. Like I said, 3-game skid. I'm gonna sell him. Next team we've got. We're gonna jump over to the NFC for a team. We got the Chicago Bears. Buying them or selling them?
All right, the Chicago Bears. For right now, I'm going to buy them, just because he's got. I like his lead in his division right now, and I like his schedule for the remaining 4 games he's got.
Yeah, he does have a lead right now. If Tim with the Vikings wins this week, it's a 1-game lead. I'm not quite sure where his remaining 4 games. I'm going to take a look here real quick.
I think he's got the Cowboys 1 week, and then he's got favorable matchups.
Steelers, Cowboys, Packers, and Rams for the final 4 games.
I just don't know when he gets back, but I know he's away right now.
Right. So you said you were buying them or selling them?
I'm going to buy the Bears.
I'm going to buy the Bears. I'm also going to buy the Bears. I think Smash has kind of hit home with since he's taken over from when Outlaw was out. Smash has got his hometown Bears, his squad. Kind of had a year or so now to build it, kind of make it his own team. He's in place right now in the lead, in control. He's got a schedule that could give him, some challenges, but I think it's, if Smash plays Smash football, and he should, be able to finish out and stay in control of that division, especially since the Vikings have the Panthers and the Seahawks and the 49ers, along with Double Null, who plays solid defense, and Crazy B-Man left on the schedule. Those are 5 games that I think it's favorable schedule more on the Bears side right now, especially since the Vikings have the top dog in the NFC, or one of the top dogs in the NFC in Mo, and the Seahawks. It's just, and then a couple of other teams fighting for playoff spots. So definitely think the Bears have a more favorable schedule, and they have the 1-game lead. Vikings have also lost both games to the Bears this year, so they do have to make up a 2-game difference essentially. So I think the Bears. So I'm going to buy the Bears as well. The next team in the AFC is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars and Brady. Buying them or selling them?
I'm going to buy them. Brady's always, been a very good, I think, regular season player. He might not like that comment, but we all know how he gets sometimes in the playoffs. But he's been playing real good ball. He's got the Jets in a couple weeks, and I think that's going to define where he sits in the playoffs. I think he's going to have a good showing, and he's been rolling as of late. Doing Brady type football.
Yeah, I agree. I have to buy the Jags right now. I think he's easily could finish as the division leader, or and it's gonna be tough just because he played the Colts already twice and lost both times, and the Colts are one game up. But essentially, things how these last 4 weeks could play out. You could see the Jags winning the division or taking the first wild card spot or even the second wild card spot in the AFC. And I think that's essentially I think Brady will be there. He's a solid regular season player. This might be the year that he gets over the hump in the playoffs. We'll see. But I am going to buy the Jags. Looking at his schedule, he beat me both times. The first time I wasn't the Titans quite yet. That was week 1. I was still Tim, but it was a 1-point win. And then he his losses are the Patriots, Colts, Cardinals, and Seahawks. So I mean, it's not like he's lost games that he's lost quality games and they've been close. 4 points, 8 points, 3 points, and then I think 3 points, and the worst one was a 13-point. So essentially, in his 5 losses, all of them have been one score except for the one game against the Colts in Week 4. He lost by 13. So he's hanging in there, playing the games, putting it down. His defense is solid. He runs the ball. He's even got a little bit of passing game. Our game this week in Week 13 came down to a 2-point conversion. He got a pick in the end zone that closed out the win for him. He ended up winning 25-23. Played some solid football. I'm buying the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. Second team in the NFC is going to be the Arizona Cardinals and Modeli. Buy or sell?
I'm going to buy Modeli. He's won 8 in a row. He's definitely one of the hottest teams in the league. He's been rolling. He figured out his team. In the off season, he figured out how to mold his team, and I think he's just going to keep rolling into the playoffs. Now it might be a 5 or 6 seed, but probably 5. But he'll be a strong 5 seed.
Yeah. I have to buy the Cardinals as well. Modeli's kind of figured things out, like you said. His interesting thing, he loses opening week to Duvall at the time when he was still in the league. He lost opening week, then loses to Mo, the Seahawks, and then ties with Tim, the Titans, and that was right before I took over the Titans when Tim went over to the Vikings. But yeah, ties with them, and then loses to the Falcons by a touchdown, and then since then he's been on a tear. Like he's rattled off 8 wins, beat the Jags and the Rams twice, 2 division games there. He even got a win 2 weeks ago in Week 12, or I should say last week, but against the Seahawks in a close 3-point win there. And he finishes out the game, or the season, I should say, with the Texans, Lions, Colts, and 49ers. The Colts game will be interesting to see where he stacks up, if he's still on a roll, how he can, play Dwayne, being one of the, I'd say one, if not the top player in this league, even though he's, got 4 losses this year. Dwayne still is the top player in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how those 4 games play out, especially in Week 16 against the Colts. But I'm going to go ahead and buy the Cardinals. I think he's figured it out. He's starting to play good football. Statistically, I haven't been able to watch too many of the games with my schedule. Hence, we haven't gotten too many shows in. But, I haven't really been able to watch too much of it. But from the stats and everything, it's impressive. 8 wins in a row is not unnoticed at all. The next team we're going to talk about, we're jumping back over to the AFC. And it's actually not a team. It's a division, the AFC West. Are we buying them or are we selling them?
So we're going to sell the West as far as the ability to catch Maniacs Chiefs. I just think the Chargers have too much of an uphill battle as what they have coming up next. The Raiders haven't really. I don't know what's going on with the Raiders. I thought they would do a little bit better showing this year. And the Broncos started off kind of lackadaisical, and then they've come on late, but I think they're just coming on too late. So I just think Maniac's going to wrap this division up, and he's got it. Even though he does play the Chargers in a couple weeks, I just think his lead's going to be too much for the rest of the West.
Yeah. I agree. I'm buying the Chiefs, selling the rest of the division. I think the Chiefs have put themselves in the place here. Maniacs turn the Chiefs around in a short time there, and he's got that division. I don't want to say wrapped up, but in my eyes, I think he has it wrapped up. He's got the Eagles, the Chargers, Steelers, and the Ravens left. I think not every win's a gimme win for him, but I think he has a favorable schedule. The Chargers game will definitely be the tale of the season for him. If he wins that game, it's a lock. It's a wrap, But looking at the other team schedules, like you said, the Broncos kind of turn it on late here with 3 wins, over your Bengals to beat the Giants, beat the Chargers, but they still have to play the Ravens. Still have to play the Redskins, still have to play the Jaguars, and still have to play the Patriots. So there's a couple tough games there. I think Longhorn or Jay Glaze, I think he's a quality player. But Brady's defense is tough. Ravens' defense is tough. And the Patriots, typical Robbie, I think he plays pretty solid ball. So those are going to be tough games for Jay Glaze. He's going to have to play air-free. And he's essentially going to have to win out and hope for some help along the way as well. And I don't think it's there. I don't think it's in the recipe for him for this season. It's possible, but I don't see it happening. Chargers, you got a couple games there. Like you said, he plays the Chiefs, but really what stands out is outside the Chiefs game, he's got a brutal schedule. He's got the Colts next week, and D-Wayne a top player. Then he's got the Browns and Chaotix. If K can figure out what's going on and get himself back on track, that's a tough game. And then you got the Raiders, who we all know that Jay Biles is capable of being a top player in the AFC. And then we go over to the Raiders, and you got the Cowboys, the Browns, the Bengals, and the Chargers. So that's a tough 4-game stretch there for him. So yeah, I think the Chiefs are the team to beat and the bye team there, in my opinion, as well. Next team we got, and the last team that we're going to cover is the Minnesota Vikings. And Tim, buying or selling?
So Tim came over from the Titans mid-season, and for right now, I'm gonna sell him. But I think next season he's gonna make a run at it over there in the North. I don't think he's too comfortable with the team with the Vikings right now. So I just don't think everything's clicking on his end. But I think Tim's going the right direction.
So yeah, I think I'd have to sell the Vikings because I bought the Bears. The Bears had the 1-game lead. I don't see two teams get out of this division, but I don't see it happening right now. They would have to win like the remaining games. The Vikings do have the Lions this week, the 49ers, then the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Panthers. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Seahawks are going to be a tough game for him. Tim's new to the Vikings. I don't think he's had the chance to really build the team like he's capable of doing. So I have to sell him for right now, but I do think he is going to be a favorite or a team to watch in the NFC North, along with Smash, and Double Null's solid defense. Priest can figure out how to be an interesting. Priest can figure out how to control the passing game and everything like that. I think that'll be an interesting division to watch now, as those 4 guys in that division, all quality players, and all strong, or their strength all kind of interact with each other's teams. So it's kind of interesting to see how that division is going to play out. But I have to sell the Vikings for now. I think the Bears got this for this season wrapped up. Even though it's a 1 game difference. Like I said, the Vikings would have lost both games of the Bears, so essentially they're 2 games back. And that kind of wraps up our buy now, sell now. We're going to jump back into our next topic and go into our playoff predictions. We've kind of covered a little bit the buy now, sell now, and our power rankings. So we wanted to jump into playoff predictions and kind of division winners, that kind of stuff, and how it's going to play out. Cincy, if you want to give us your prediction in the AFC, I'll do NFC, and then we can flip flop. I'll let you go ahead and give your prediction of the playoff division winners and seedings for the AFC.
All right. So for the AFC, 1 through 6, obviously they could change it any week, but as of right now, for me, I got you winning that big Week 17 game versus the Jets, so I got you at the 1 seed, and I see the Jets only losing that game, so I got the Jets as the 2 seed, me as the 3 seed, just because I have the game over on the Chiefs head-to-head, and then he'll be the 4 seed, and then you got the Colts and the Jags rounding out the wild card. So I got 3 AFC Souths currently in the wild card, but anything can happen. Brady has a 1-game lead over 3 teams right now: the Raiders, Chargers, and Dolphins. And even the Browns and Steelers and Ravens are still all in it. Actually, I believe the Ravens only have 6 losses also. So there's 4 teams that could very easily get in that wild card spot. So, all the spots aren't taken care of yet, but that's my top 6.
Yeah. So I was going to do the NFC, but rather than kind of confusing people here, since we're talking about AFC, I'll just do the AFC, and then I'll do my NFC, and you can do the NFC there, rather than having people jump all over the place. But so my AFC, I've got the Jets as the 1 seed. I think that Week 17 game is going to be a big game, but I think the Jets have figured out how to run the ball, and his schedule is a little bit more is tough, but I think he wins a couple of those games. I think my game next week versus Seattle is going to be an interesting game and could play a huge role, especially with me having a tie. That tie is kind of a weird factor. So I don't know if it's going to end up being a factor, but right now it's like it could be. So I think it's going to be Jets 1. Dwayne's got a couple tough games. I think he's a quality guy, and I think he's going to buckle down, and I think he's going to win. And I'm going to have to say, even with me beating him both times, I'm going to throw Dwayne in as a 3 seed, because I think the Bengals are going to get the 2 seed. So I got the Jets 1, Bengals 2, Colts 3, Chiefs 4, Titans 5, and then I'm going to round it out with the Jags getting in the final spot as the 6 seed. And I think it comes down to basically a tie there being the difference, because the Jags do have both wins over the Titans this season. So I think that's going to be an interesting, like I said, that tie could be a factor. But my AFC would be Jets, Bengals, Colts, Chiefs, Titans, Jaguars for the AFC playoff. NFC, we're going to jump over there. So my NFC, obviously, D-Money, I've got him winning the South and getting the number 1 seed. I don't see him slipping up 2 or 3 games and the Seahawks being able to catch him right now. So I got D-Money being the 1 seed in the NFC. I have the Seahawks winning the NFC West and getting that division and keeping the 2 seed, even though he lost 2 weeks ago to the Cardinals. The Cardinals are still a couple games back and still have that tie against my Titans before I took them over earlier this season. So I got the Falcons 1, the Seahawks 2. I have the interesting thing is now we go into the Cowboys are 7-5, the Bears are 7-5, and like you said, Massimo being gone, we don't know when he's coming back. I have the Bears getting the 3 seed and the Cowboys getting the 4 seed. Being that Smash has some winnable games there, and if he just plays his game, I think he wins those games right now. It's because he's got his team figured out a little bit. So I have the Bears getting the 3, the Cowboys getting the 4 seed, and then it gets interesting from there. Obviously, the Cardinals the 5th seed in the first wild card spot, and then I'm gonna give Nate the nod, even though I think the Panthers won this last game. Um, I think Nate figures it out, and kind of life has been crazy for him, like you said in Press Pass Live. But I think he buckles down and gets the final spot in the NFC. He's been there. He's been in the pressure situation. Last couple of years, he's had a tough strength of schedule, and he still made it there. 4 weeks left, a lot of football. I think Nate figures it out and gets in by a game over the Panthers for the 6th seed.
All right. It's a good top 6 there. So I got Falcons at the 1, Seahawks at the 2. So those are going to be your first round bye teams, in my opinion. That's going to look pretty similar here, but I like the Bears at 3, Cowboys at 4, Cardinals at 5. So I don't want to sound similar. I'm actually going to take the Panthers at 6. Just because I like his remaining schedule a little bit better. Not that I think, the Saints can't be in it. I think it's going to be so close, and it's just going to come down to what the 4 remaining games look like, because they've split in the regular season. And I just see those 2 teams those are the only 2 that's going to take the 6th seed, in my opinion. And it's just going to be, who buckles down these last 4 games and who wants to get in the playoffs and who doesn't.
Absolutely. All right. So that's going to be the playoff predictions and division winners there. So with that being said, we've got some key games that we feel like that stand out each week. So keep your eyes, if you see these games out on the streams and you're not doing anything, tune in, because these are going to be some games that I think could play a big factor in the playoff for their seedings, and it's, that excitement wrapping up the season, drama-filled games, buckling down. We'll see what happens. So week 14, I've got games to be watched are the Panthers versus the Dolphins. Like you said, the Panthers fighting for that spot. The Dolphins still in the mix, but I'd pretty much have to win out. Colts and the Chargers. Colts being in a rare spot with 4 losses. Chargers having to win out, but the Colts fighting for either division or a wild card spot. That's a game to watch. Bengals and the Browns, division rivalry. I think the Browns have to figure ending, their losing spell in season 83 on a 3 or 4 game skid now, but also end their losing spell against the Bengals. They had their shot last time, and then the Bengals snatched the victory late in the game. So I think that's another game to watch. And then the final game in Week 14 is the Titans and the Seahawks. Could play a factor in that top seeding in the AFC or the NFC, depending on who wins and loses that game. And then Week 15, the Chiefs and the Chargers, divisional game. If the Chargers are going to take over the Chiefs in that AFC West, this is a must-win, as well as Week 14's game. So you'd be on a high if you were able to beat Dwayne, have to turn around and beat the division leader in Maniac. So that's the game. Cowboys and Bears, if Massimo is back, that would be an interesting game, because there are 2 that could play the factor in the 3-4 seeding there. Jets and the Jags, like you've mentioned several times, the Jets and the Jags would be a game to watch. As the top seed with the Jets, the Jags holding on to that final spot could potentially be a one or the division leader for the South, or either wild card spot. And then again, your Bengals versus the Ravens. And Miguel kind of had a rough, off season with, being sick and stuff. but he's still a quality player, and only I think a game or two games back, so he could sneak up on you if he's able to get a win there and make some things interesting. Week 16, the Jags once again against the Broncos. The Broncos having to win out. The Jags having to get a couple wins here in a tough schedule. The Dolphins and the Jets, again, the Jets being a top team. Dolphins having to win out. Division game there. And then the Cards and the Colts. The Cards being on an 8-game stretch. Winning stretch there. Playing the top team in the Colts. Colts having another tough game. 3 weeks in a row. And then week 17, we've got the Vikings and the Panthers. Tim having to win some games there. Playing Colin with the Panthers. And Colin fighting for that wild card spot. Chargers, Raiders in divisional game. Colts, Dolphins. And then the 49ers and Cardinals. And then week 17 game is the Titans and the Jets for the potential seeding spot there. 1, 2, 3, 4, somewhere along there. Wild card spot in my place with Dwayne and Brady being right behind me right now. And myself having a couple tough games. So those are key games. You see those games live. Tune in. They're going to be good games. Talk about it in the chat. Let's finish this season strong. And, yeah. Anything you want to add in there, Cincy, on those games?
No, I usually spend at least 15 seconds spotlighting Kevin, on our show. So this is going to be my 15 seconds. Sorry, Kev. But, you're trying to make the playoffs here, but your remaining 4 games are the Panthers, Falcons, Jets, and Colts. I don't want to throw you to the wolves, but you're out there fishing in the dark, buddy. So I don't even know how you're gonna make the playoffs with a schedule like that. But just build for next year. We all love you.
That is a brutal, brutal final 4 weeks. Just even having you said it was the Colts, the Falcons, the Jets, and who else?
The Panthers.
And the Panthers. Wow. That is insane. Good luck, Kev. That's all I got to say. If you can win that, you might be feared going into the playoffs. So, key stats and injuries are our next topic. I picked out a couple players that I noticed that were on the injury bug or whatever. The Bucs have Leonard Fournette down right now. The Bucs aren't really in a playoff race or anything like that, but that is kind of a key back guy to be down. Could have changed, how he plays. I'm not really sure what games he has remaining, but if he has let's see, he has the Bills, the Jets, the Eagles, Panthers, and Falcons. So the Jets, the Panthers, and the Falcons, if Fournette's not there, that could really alter his ability to play a spoiler alert just because Fournette's such a big piece. The Chargers are missing their quarterback, Luciano. He's out for a couple weeks, and the Chargers are on a 3-game skid. So we'll see. He's going to definitely need some quarterback play playing Dwayne and then the Chiefs the next 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens there. And then we got Todd Gurley, the guy that literally is on this thing like all the time. As an all-star Pro Bowl player, he finds himself on this list way too often. Crazy B-Man, not in a spot right now, struggling this season, but does play the Jags, the Vikings, and the Bears. Like the Bucs situation, if Gurley's out, could play a factor in playing a spoiler alert and making things a little bit more difficult. And then the Seahawks having one of their young guns that he does so well in drafting. Their corner, I think he's like a 93 overall or 90-some overall. Garner, he is out. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects Mo in his final couple of weeks that he's out for, I think, 3 more weeks. He's got the Titans, the Vikings, the 49ers, and the Texans for his final 4 games. That's it for injuries that I had. Stats that I kind of noticed when looking at the stats. And I liked bringing this topic up because of fantasy, that we have finally put a good fantasy season together. But nobody saw DeAdrian Cunningham, the rookie quarterback for the Steelers, being the top passer in the league. I don't know if anybody had him on fantasy, to be honest, but he is the leading the league in passing. And then you got a couple other guys that um, I think the big stat in my eyes that I was shocked to see is Mariota. I thought he was a very highly picked quarterback in the fantasy, and he is down the charts in the passing ranks, only with 11 touchdowns, 6 picks. Good ratio there, 66% completion percentage, but only 1,700 yards. That's almost half of what the leader is, and usually you find Cincy's quarterback in the top 5, top 3 for sure. So where is he getting his production from? He's leading the league with James White running the ball. That's something that I don't think we've ever mentioned Cincy in top 5 running backs, let alone leading the league right now. That's something to be said, that he's able to change up his game. And this is a back that wasn't even on his team last year. He picked up in the free agency, averaging almost 7 yards per carry at 6.7 yards per carry. James White having a tremendous year, 0 fumbles, averaging 111 yards per game. Um, that's impressive. And then you got the top touchdown with Freeman at 19, and then Zeke, myself, right behind him at 18. And then receiving wise, no surprise here. Taron Gator, I think probably a very highly picked guy in fantasy, with not leading the league in receiving yardage, but in receptions by 1 over T.Y. Hilton. And but he is at the top of the charts right now as a rookie on Panthers Collins team. Michael Gallup and Robbie Anderson, Javier Edwards, a couple other familiar names at that top of that ranks. And then defensively, we're going to take a look here. And the guys that stood out to me were, I finally have a guy that I feel like I can rush the passer with, and Jabal Sheard is tied for the league lead with Chandler Jones at 15 sacks. It's different having a guy like that. It changes the game for me, for sure. But you got Bosa up there, Gillette up there, Wadsworth, Chandler Jones, some familiar names there as well. Tackles, Bennett Banks, the free safety from the Falcons, still at the top. And then number 2 is Deion Jones, right there from the Falcons as well. And then Shaquem Griffin. So, yeah, a couple guys, high tackles there. And then we're going to switch over to interceptions. We got Cincy. I know I watched one game. I think Jesse Bates had 4 or 5 picks in one game. I was like, gosh, this guy's going to end up with like 20 picks in the season. And he's got 10 on the year, which is impressive. Leads the league. And the crazy part that I find in those 10 picks is he has 214 return yards on that. That's impressive because there isn't a guy that's within 50 yards of that on those 10 picks. So the closest guy is Jordan Evans, the 129 from the Cowboys. So that's pretty impressive there. Is not only is he picking the ball off, but he's flipping the field or returning it for big yardage, which is a game changer, playmaker type of guy on the back end. Buda Baker for the Cardinals being a strong side safety, normal, typical run support, but covering very well at 9 picks. And then Shaq Thompson, another Cardinals guy at 7. So he's got a couple guys that are creating turnovers and helping his team, along with Chandler Jones, tied for sacks defensively. Modelli is doing his thing there. He's also got Anthony Brown with 6 picks, which is like top 5 or 6 guys in the league. So he's got 3 guys there that are changing the game on defense for him. One thing that we did cover back when I was the 49ers was kicking. It's interesting to see that we've got 2 guys that are 100%, Dan Bailey and Max Valdez. And then a couple guys in the low 90s. And but it's interesting to see the kicking numbers there. We've got some 60-yard field goals. We've actually have 5 guys that have a 60 or longer for their longest field goal in the year. 64, 62, 61, 60, and 60. So we've got some leg boomers in this league. And then the last stat that I wanted to talk about was returns. I think this is at one point it definitely could change the game. Marquise Goodwin, which was one of my guys that I had for a long time on the 49ers. He got picked up by Double Knoll. He leads the league in kick returns for touchdowns with 3. Dante Pettis with 2 for the Bengals, and Josh Horton 2 for the Broncos. They're averaging like over 30 yards per return, and they have like over 30 returns, so it's pretty impressive to have that kind of production. And no punt returns, but we do have um, Nate with Boston Scott leading the league, 23 returns, and he's got a solid 15 yards per return. That's helping on the special teams. That rounds out for my key stats and injuries. Cincy, if you want to throw your key stats and injuries out there, the mic is yours.
Yeah, certainly. So that we'll go with just a quick note over the injuries. That injury to the Chargers quarterback, I think, is gonna sadly put him in because it is tough playing with a backup quarterback. I can tell you because now we're going to jump over to the fantasy, and yes, Mariota was picked quite a bit, but he was hurt. He was out 4 weeks. He missed one on a bye week, missed a game by himself. I got irritated, went out and picked up a backup, and he sucked in both games, so I ended up bringing in Mariota early. So I brought him back in the fourth quarter, but he was playing injured. I don't know if it was the smartest thing to do, but he didn't get hurt. That's all I got to say. And then as we look at these passing stats, Cunningham is on a tear. I mean, the way the Steelers play, I remember when I used to lead the league in passing, and the way he throws the ball around the field and the way he calls the plays, he's going to be leading the league for a while on the way he calls his passes. He's just he can read the defense real well over there in Pittsburgh. As far as rushing, it's kind of weird not seeing Bo Scarborough in the top 3. I mean, he's been in the top, 2 every season.
He's like 10 down too, but
yeah.
But he still has no fumbles, and I think that's like crazy.
Yeah. I don't think he's fumbled in his entire Madden career. I mean, the guy started as like a 68 overall. Now he's probably like a 90 for all I know. But yeah, I don't know. He holds the ball with all freaking 5 of his hands, I guess. I guess he's got multiple hands. But he's trucking away. To go to receivers, I would have won a lot of money, if you would have let me bet that if Colin had a rookie wide receiver, he would be in the top in catches. I mean, he feeds those rookies and, gets them their freshman 15 for the league. Surprisingly, he's only got 6 touchdowns, but, he's going to be at the top in receptions and yards. Another thing I like is blocking. So these linemen, these big guys, I remember the Jets when they took London Norwood. It was an early first rounder. I really wanted that guy because I thought he was going to be a stud. And, so far this year, he's played all 12 games and haven't given up a sack yet. And then another key to success for Mo Deli is his rookie, Curtis Printers, the center. He's given up 0 sacks too. So those D tackles, that Mo brings in versus Mo Deli, he takes care of business and holds them off. So that's another key stat. And then on the defensive side, Not everybody. Well, I'm sure everybody's played the Falcons, but if they watch him, Bennett Banks, that dude runs like a chicken with his head cut off. He's all over the field. There's a reason he has 98 tackles because wherever the ball is, he just happens to be there. He's a ball hawk. He knows where to go. And then you were talking about kicking earlier. When you said those two names, I thought for sure one of them was going to be on the Chargers because I think the Chargers got. I mean, he's missed 4 field goals this year, which is a surprise to me because he's had a couple seasons where he's only missed like 0 or 1 field goal, which has been pretty huge. I mean, you don't want to miss field goals. Nothing worse than going down the field and missing an easy field goal or anything like that. You could see missing a 50-something yarder, but even if you miss like a long one, then you give up great field position. But then if you get down to the red zone and you miss a field goal, then it's just depleting and you go away with no points. And then you give the ball away and then you give up points and then you're feeling really down in a hole and then you try and press for something and it just never works out. So, you never want to give up points like that, which always sucks. But as far as, any crazy records happening, I don't see any records being broke this season. I was looking around, but I don't see anything crazy going on. I don't know if you saw anything, BigHurt, but yeah, nothing from my end as far as records-wise. Now, team stats-wise, I find it interesting that the Bears still sitting at 0 for fumble recoveries. That's a bit odd for him to not get at least a 1, especially with Madden 19 being the whole hit the quarterback as he's throwing and he fumbles it 90% of the time. So that's an interesting thing there. But we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, I don't see any stats like being broken. Probably the biggest like stat that jumps out is 19 rushing touchdowns, but that's still LT had 28 and Holmes had 27. Sean Alexander had 27. Back in 2004, 6 and 7. That's pretty secure. Passing yards, no one's gonna catch the record at Peyton's almost 5,500. That's far out of reach.
I think Joey Martin had a lot last year. How many did he? You know how many he had? He was pretty close to the record, but
Peyton's 55 passing touchdowns is going to be protected for a while.
Madden's tough. Yeah.
But yeah, and then receiving yards, obviously DJ Moore, Colin at 2,900. There's no one even close to that. DJ Moore had 25 receiving touchdowns that year, and there's no one even close to that. Catches, DJ Moore had 147. That's not going to be touched.
The only person that's going to break a receiving record is the receiving record holder, Colin.
Right. And Jabal Sheard, the guy that's now on the Titans, Darren Gillette, a couple of the guys that I talked about, 23 and 27 sacks. But the tied for the lead is Chandler Jones and Sheard at 15 there with only 4 weeks left. That's probably protected pretty easily. Creatus had 21 picks, and Morgan Glenn had 17 the year after that. That's probably, unless you have like 3 more games where Jesse Bates has like 5 picks, it's probably protected pretty well. But yeah, those are NFL records for season. Game-wise, I don't see anything really being broken. Matt Ryan in 2020, I don't know what season we're in on here, but had 552 yards passing. Yeah, I don't see any stats really being broken outside of that. So, but yeah. That's about all I got for stats and injuries. And that's really all I have on the schedule. And you got anything you want to add in or for the closeout, or?
Nope, I got nothing.
All right. Well, once again, fellas, I know the Press Pass Live came out last night. Listen to it if you have not. Nate and Dwayne and Maniac took the time. They're being an open book. They're expressing kind of where we're at as a community or as a whole. We got a lot of opinions out there on the game. Stuff that's out of our control, out of Nate's control. Remind you that Nate does not decide what patch gets put in. Which we have to deal with the hand that gets dealt. And I say we as a community, but the guys that really have to deal with it is Nate, Dwayne, and Maniac being the main guys. So just keep that in your mind when you're dealing with an issue or a gameplay problem or whatever. They could be just as frustrated as you are. So just be mindful of that, not creating any more stress for them. This is important for the league, the health of the league, the duration of the league. And we've got, like Nate said, we've got 5 months left, 4 or 5 months left. Let's finish strong. Let's get there. Let's power through. Let's have a good time. Cincy and I know we've said it before, we will try and get more shows in. It's just been a crazy, crazy month for myself. And I know, like I said, Cincy's got a newborn coming here anytime in the next like 15, 20 days. So let's, we will try and make time. But yeah, life is just kind of at full speed right now outside of Madden for us. But that's about all I got. Let's have a good time, enjoy the games, make the best of it, finish out this season, and it'll be an interesting time watching those key games and the playoff picture kind of come into fold as the last 4 weeks wrap up. Until next time, good luck, enjoy, have a good time, guys.